Hey there, Arthur here. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you the basics of a card game called Duel Masters. Now, I'm not going to be able to show you a full game due to time constraint, but hopefully I can give you an understanding as to how to play. This is what a typical Duel Masters game looks like. There are three main parts of the dueling field that I would draw your attention to. The first is the battle zone. This is where you and your opponent play cards that you plan to use against each other. The second are the shield cards. These serve as your primary line of defense against your opponent. There are two objectives in Duel Masters. The first is to use your cards in the battle zone to break your opponent's shield cards until there are none left. Once this happens, you then attack your opponent directly, thus winning the game. The third area of importance in Duel Masters is your mana zone, shown here. This is where you will place cards that you do not wish to keep in your hand, but do not want to use against your opponent. Now, once a card is placed in the mana zone, it cannot be removed except via certain card effects. A common strategy for many players is to charge their mana zone by adding one card to it with each turn. This is a good strategy because the number of cards in your mana zone determines the level and number of cards that you can play in the battle zone each turn. There are two main types of cards in Duel Masters. The most important ones are creature cards like these. Creatures can be used to attack your opponent's shield cards and your opponent themselves. They can also be used to attack your opponent's creatures in order to keep them from being used against you. Once a creature has been summoned to the battle zone, only a card effect or a more powerful creature can destroy it. However, once a creature is summoned, it cannot attack during this turn and must wait until the next turn before it can be used this way. This mandatory rule is called summoning sickness. The other type of card most commonly used in Duel Masters are spell cards like these. These are cards whose effects can be used to manipulate the battle zone, mana zone, shields, hand, or deck of either player to give you an advantage, such as destroying your opponent's cards or boosting your own. Spell card effects can only last for one turn, and then they must be discarded. As you can see, there are many different kinds of creatures and spells, but they all belong to one of 5 different civilizations, as we call them. The effects from each civilization tend to vary, but they are oftentimes similar enough that they can be used together. Thus, players will often mix different civilizations together when creating a deck. Cards from the Light civilization tend to be mostly defensive. Many light creatures have blocker abilities, which allow them to intercept the attacks of opposing creatures. Many light spell effects allow you to either keep creatures from attacking, make them vulnerable to your attacks, or boost your shield cards. Cards from the Water civilization focus on drawing, allowing you to draw cards from wherever you need to, whenever you need to. Many Water civilization creatures and spells allow you to delay your opponent's creatures from attacking by bouncing them back to their hand. Cards from the Darkness civilization have abilities that will either destroy your opponent's creatures or force them to discard from their hand or deck. Many Darkness creatures also have Slayer abilities, which means that if a weaker creature battles a stronger creature, both will be destroyed. Cards from the Fire civilization focus on attacking. Many Fire civilization creatures can be summoned quicker and easier than other creatures, and some of these are speed attackers, which do not need to wait one turn before attacking. Many Fire civilization spells will either allow you to destroy your opponent's creatures or boost the attacking power of your own creatures. Cards from the Nature civilization have effects designed to boost your field. Many nature creatures draw power from other creatures and from your mana zone, and many nature spells allow you to add extra cards to your mana zone, allowing you to play stronger cards sooner and play multiple cards each turn. So this is how you summon a creature to the battle zone. The first step is to ensure that you have enough available cards in your mana zone to play that creature. For example, in this simulation, I have 5 cards in my mana zone, so I can summon a level 5 or lower creature from my hand. So say I want to summon this level 5 Gulsaur from my hand to the battle zone. I have to tap the required number of cards in my mana zone, in this case that would be 5, and place the creature in the battle zone. Now something to keep in mind here, if you are going to play a card in the battle zone, you need to have not only enough cards in your mana zone to play it, but at least one card you tap must be from the same civilization as the card you wish to play. The process of casting a spell card in the battle zone is pretty much the same as summoning a creature. In this example, I have 5 cards in my mana zone, so I can now cast a level 5 or lower spell from my hand. In this case, the spell I cast is level 4. So, I would need to tap the required amount of cards, which would be 4, and then I can place that spell card in my battle zone. Now, something else to keep in mind here is that once a card in the mana zone is tapped, it cannot be used again this turn. So take care in choosing what mana you tap when, as your strategy may fall apart if you tap the wrong type of card at the wrong time. As mentioned, once a creature has been in the battle zone for more than one round, it is free to attack. The most obvious target would be your opponent's shields, as you need to break them in order to win the game. To attack with a creature, you need to first tap it, and then designate the attack target. So in this scenario, my opponent wants to attack my shields. They tap their creature and say, Aquahulkus, EK, break this shield. Only when a shield card is broken can you look at it. In this case, the card in question is a shield trigger spell card, meaning it can be cast into the battle zone immediately after being broken without having to worry about mana cost. In this case, the card's effect destroys a creature in my opponent's battle zone. Now, since my opponent has a second untapped creature, they can attack again, so the process is repeated. King Neptus, EK, break this shield. Now, since this card is not a shield trigger, it is put into my hand. A typical response to such a move might be to attack my opponent's creatures with my own creatures. However, I can only attack a creature that has been tapped. Untapped creatures can never be attacked. So say I wish to attack my opponent's creature, the process is the same. I tap the creature, Gulsaur, EK, attack King Neptus. Then the two creatures battle. And since my creature has a higher attack power due to its ability, my opponent's creature is destroyed. This back and forth exchange continues until a victor is declared. And yeah, that's basically how Duel Masters works. I know it may seem a bit complicated at first, but the more times you play, the easier it gets. One thing I like about this game is that it requires a combination of speed and strategy in order to play well, and I've seen games take as little as 5 minutes to as long as 30 minutes depending on the skill level of the players. So on that note, do I have a challenger?